Lights.
Camera.
Watch.
Fair play.
Watch.
Like a really, really, really weak watch.
Really?
Yeah, I didn't love this.
I hear you and I feel you, and I don't disagree with that weak. So
I think it was well made.
Agreed.
I just think that there wasn't enough like reasoning for it to be that serious.
Really?
Like I just don't think the stakes were high. Like I don't think the job is worth keeping.
Well, I agree with you 100%, and I believe at the end of the day, a lot of things fall into ego, and this was two egos going head to head.
For sure. That's the good part about it. Like I will say that. So it's the workplace the workplace setting.
Okay.
Of these two people are clearly very, very happy in their relationship, because it starts off with like an apartment shot of them like as a couple living their life, enjoying themselves. Or sorry, it starts at the party where they get engaged.
Yes.
But you can tell that like together they are happy.
But you have to explain how they got engaged. It wasn't like, oh, I'm surrounded by a bunch of roses. We're going at it in the bathroom and going a little nuts, and then I'm about to like go down on you, and then oops, there's some blood on your face because guess what? Done.
They're also at somebody else's wedding.
Yes.
And like I understand that he wasn't intending to propose at that moment originally, like a ring had fallen out of his pocket, right?
Yes.
But he had still brought the ring to the wedding.
Yeah, I don't understand
so
that
I think
part.
he was intending on proposing that day anyway.
Yeah, but I think that's like a really cheesy and like move to propose on somebody else's wedding, because
It's
like
tacky.
it's like you're gonna steal somebody else's spotlight. It's one thing that it's your wedding and it happens to be somebody else's birthday and you get them a cake, you know, it's like, yo, it's your birthday too, we're not gonna forget you. But it's like that's commencing someone's love, and that was like cementing your like love or like engagement for one another, and you're gonna do it there. It's just, to me, I wish that plot point was discovered later on.
That they were going to get engaged?
Or he bought the ring, or like imagine she discovered the ring afterwards.
Well, I think later she wouldn't have said yes.
Well, I don't know if she would say, oh, you know, that throws a big wrench into their dynamics.
Yeah.
So this movie is the most like modern version of like a sexual tension, modern romance, man versus woman in the workplace.
Can we call this a romance though? Like, is there enough like I care about you for this to be considered a romance? Because like the most care they have for each other is like the beginning of the film.
Well, I think in a lot of relationships, I can't speak for myself, but I'm just guessing, their age ranges, I forget how old they were. I'm gonna assume like they're in their like mid 20s.
Yeah, like late 20s, early 30s.
I feel like there's more of a frictional lust, passion, like craze, sexual thing, as opposed to like, oh, you're my person. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like we are compatible on paper and we have great sex. And that's where the relationship is. And I think a lot of people try to build off on that. Whereas there's going to be a point where you can't get it up, or you're not horny, you don't have sex, and you have to look at each other every single day. Do you still care about each other? So when you're not sexy and you're old and saggy and God knows what else, are you still going to want to talk to this person who's in your industry of just making tons of money?
But the thing is, like, they're happy outside, and then they do the cut to like the reveal of we're walking to work together but separate because nobody at work knows we're together. That to me is not worth it. Why would you get engaged and date someone that you clearly have like a career you both give? Neither of you are going to leave this job, and you clearly both care about this job and want to move up in this job because that's the whole driving force of this thing. What is the point of getting engaged and married if you're trying to keep it a secret? Everybody's gonna know. Like, how do you keep a wedding a secret?
Yeah, but I mean, that's for the writers to create some type of like exposition or plot or some type of like conflict of interest or whatever it may be. I mean, I don't know if you've seen like older movies that like included like The Game, or what was that one with Michael Douglas and Demi Moore where she sexually harasses him and stuff like that. It was like
I've not seen that.
So
whatever it is.
In like the early 2000s and 90s, there was like a bunch of like sexual workplace affair movies or passions or like Basic Instinct, where it's like they're kind of like at each other's throats and there's passion, there's lust. This kind of reminds me of those movies, but it's more of the sense of this is like more of a modern twist.
Yeah.
What I found interesting about this movie is like we see a lot of like financial movies, like we've seen, and I don't know if you watch Billions, but like imagine like Dumb Money. We recently watched Dumb Money, and this was like
it's much more popular in TV, right? So Billions, Industry,
yes,
Succession,
or all this stuff that like these like powerful, attractive, sexual people are just like fighting for power and dominance, and I was like, whoa, is this like what the new direction's gonna go towards? Because historically those movies were like male driven.
Yeah.
Now you kind of have like an equal situation. And when I recall, a lot of the times the women in those past movies were more like crazy. You know, they were like the crazy person. Yeah. Whereas in this movie, we don't see that. You know what I mean?
The guy's the crazy one.
Or he's becoming crazier. Like he has like his ego is destroyed and he can't handle it. So the story in the beginning, I think it's like it's okay. I like how they develop it, but the moment that they like wake up the next day really early and put on their clothes and go their separate directions and magically end up in the elevator together, and I'm like, could have done it a little differently. You know, like they're very much in each other's space, and like no one in New York catches this on. Like it's really hard, you know what I mean?
That's what I'm saying. Like it just, for me, like I thought like the build up to things were cool. Like I thought the characters, like though flawed, were like interesting enough. But the fact that like their relationship with their workplace, which is like the whole tension causing, just like doesn't make sense to me. Yeah. And their job, like he's later revealed he's not good at his job. Mm-hmm. They have the world's most boring job that I'm pretty sure you can get at like 10 other locations. Mm-hmm. Like it didn't seem special enough to like matter that all of this like had such high stakes. It just made like the guy look even more like mentally deranged
or pathetic. Like
no, literally pathetic.
Like I thought they're pathetic, and I'm all like, yo, if you got this attractive, smart, baller ass wife, go be a trophy husband. Just go somewhere.
No, it's the thing where like when he thought he was gonna be promoted, it was like, I'm big shot, we're on the top of the world. But when she's promoted, he's like, this is literally the worst thing that could have ever happened to me.
Yeah, the problem is, like, in my opinion, is I think they were working there for like maybe 2 years or whatever it was. Yeah, it's not a brief period of time.
But not a crazy long period of time either.
So you feel...
It's not like he dedicated 10 years of his life trying to get where he is.
Absolutely. You're young. You can get fired 10 times and still come up top. You know what I mean? And when you work in those firms, like, you get invited out to, like, the big boys meetings or the big girl meetings, whatever you want to call. Like, you know, hey, meet us up for drinks. Yeah. I mean, you've never been called up by, like, this guy that you look up to who's, like, your super... like portfolio manager boss.
I don't think he thought he was gonna get the job at all until like she had told him like, oh, I heard them talking about you, like it might be you. But it was never like given to him and then taken away. She just got excited that it's like, oh, I heard my boyfriend like whispers of him possibly being promoted, and she like said that to him, and he like really clinged to that, even though like literally the next day the job's given to her, but he had already like accepted it to be his own, and like that's his fate.
Yeah, to me it's sort of like the girl was so supportive. Yeah. You know what I mean? And the guy kind of... I think he was trying to be supportive in a way, but, like, he didn't have enough time to really process it. Mm-hmm. And when you're in, like, a male-dominated industry where it's a bunch of frat guys, and your girlfriend or fiance happens to be really attractive and goes out with the boys, and, like, there's that scene where they go to that strip club. Yeah. And they're like, your friend's like, oh, look at these photos of our coworker, and like he's with strippers, and it's this attractive girl with like strippers and throwing money. It's sort of like, I'm sure that just like his little ego couldn't handle it. You know what I mean? Yeah. To me, it's sort of like there's so many people that would do so much to get ahead in life. Like, let's say hypothetically, like if that guy had to sleep with his boss, guy or boy or whatever it is, guy, girl, boy, like to make that money, it's like, wouldn't you be willing to make that life-changing financial sacrifice? And like, yo, like it's just one time, you know what I mean? Yeah. But it's just, to me, I'm like thinking to myself, like when the girl gets it and is hanging out with, it's automatically assumed like, hey, you banged this guy. Whereas in like, there's a track record of her continuously choosing the right stocks and being successful. Now this guy doesn't have it.
No, this guy's bad at his job. Like straight up bad at his job.
He should just be a data entry guy and someone that just verifies the formulas. And when you hear about the girl has like this pedigree of coming from this like amazing background. She wrote, she's published, she has all these things. And it's like, yo, we need to pay attention to this chick. Mm-hmm. And the guy has noticed that
they made a comment like she made like half the money for the firm last year or something like
or,
that. It's
or
like
half
she
the
clearly
is pulling it.
She's the best candidate for the job, and like he doesn't even acknowledge that like even once. Like it's just like so ego based. Like it's like he's bad at his job. Mm-hmm. They also made a comment that he lost the most money like last year. So like why does he keep saying like, oh, you took this job from me, all this stuff? It's like it was never yours, dog.
Yeah, I mean, in some way, I wish he got fired.
He should have got fired. I think
the
only reason
the girl protected him.
100%.
He could have gotten fired, and like I wish early on that conversation happened. It's like, look, they were gonna fire you. I just saved your ass, so shut the fuck up. Listen to me, and here's some like breadcrumbs and present it, so maybe you can move up too. Because it's not like they're firing a bunch of girls. They're just firing guys left and right in that firm. Yeah. Like, if you're not producing, you get cut. These are, like, hundreds of millions of dollars. Mm-hmm. It's not a joke. You're not, like, scanning stuff at Dollar Tree. You know what I mean? Like, you have to make people money. And if you're not, you're going to lose. So, like, professional athletes. If you're not going to make the shot, you're not going to score, like, what's the point of having you?
And so, like, later she's promoted or whatever, and he says, like, so she's like, oh, like, you're not really going to make it this way. Like, there's bad blood against you. You should, like, apply somewhere else. And he's like, oh, I don't care about anywhere else. I want this firm because the man who runs this firm is, like, my god. The only thing we ever see about this man, really, is him, like, calling her a bitch. And, like, some, like, distant shots of them, like, chuckling and having fun. There is nothing in this movie that makes me want to, like, believe that this guy is, like, a wonderful, like, mentor, good analyst, whatever. He just seems like an ass. Like, if your big thing is like you want to work for this asshole, like, I don't give a fuck.
It'd be a different thing. Like, if you watch Billions, people want to work for the main Axel guy. Like, he is like a rock star. He's smart. He's a boss. He plays like all these smart positions. Even to date in the show, it's like you hear him saying like, we're gonna make this move, and he like energizes the crowd. He energizes his team. But, like, you don't hear anything about it from that CEO or whoever's in charge of the company, as well as the, like...
No, he barely even says anything. He has this, like, this big meathead say it for him, like, and walks out of the room.
Yeah, that guy is, actually, I believe he was in Mad Men, too.
Was he? Okay. I think I recognize the older guy. Like,
no, this is the other dude. It was, like, he had, like, slick black hair, younger. He was in Mad Men.
He was in, Glow as well.
I've not seen Glow.
I've not seen Mad Men. They both have Alison Brie in it, though.
Oh, there you go. By the way, shout out to Alison Brie. I've been in love with you since Community.
I love Alison Brie.
Have you seen her in Community?
Of course. I've seen Community more times than I can count.
Really?
I love Community.
I never finished Community.
Are you fucking kidding me? Community is my favorite sitcom of all time.
Really?
Yes, I love it so much.
Well, I honestly, you know, Community is really based off, like, local community colleges.
He went to Glendale.
Yeah.
It's based on Glendale Community College.
Yeah, I mean, seriously. Anyhow, shout out to Glendale Community College alumni. Yo. Anyways, back to the story. I had problems with these characters, especially the male guy who, as you've seen, Darling, Don't Worry, or whatever.
Don't Worry, Darling.
Don't Worry, Darling. I got a lot of shades of Darling, Don't Worry from this movie.
Darling, Don't Worry. Don't worry, darling.
Don't worry, darling. You know what I mean?
I saw a bunch of stuff about that too. Because, he just, like, goes crazy and, like, turns himself into, like, a crazy, like, online, like, I'm listening to Jordan Peterson and Joe Rogan and all these other, like, macho. My powerful woman, like, top down G, via the internet. Yes, Andrew Tate guys. And did you like Don't Worry, Darling? Because I personally hated it.
I liked the concept. I didn't see the twist coming. I had no idea. I thought it was like, what's going on? Like, I didn't anticipate. I think it made a lot of sense in the time we were. I feel like if there was maybe a more seasoned director, they could have made the movie even better, because
it had the potential of being really, really cool, and I just think that every element of it, like, fell flat for me. Except for Chris Pine. And Florence Pugh carried that movie on her shoulders, so
obviously.
Shout out her.
I mean, the thing too is I've noticed a lot more now, and correct me, you see a lot more of male characters getting down on their knees. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
with the female.
Let's think. The Don't Worry Darling is a
Yes.
female director.
Yes.
This film is a female director.
Yes.
It's very much films in general aren't getting like a lot more female representation, but like definitely like a lot more female filmmakers are given a chance. So like things from like the female perspective are definitely like leaking into pop culture more.
Good.
Which is like, before it was like 0% and now it's like 3%, but you know, like there's something there.
Yeah, because to me, you know what I've noticed when I was comparing those two movies? In Don't Worry Darling, Harry Styles is constantly trying to please his wife.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He's constantly like trying to like get her off, you know? And this movie too, like it really starts off with some foreplay and him just like getting down on his knee trying to please his woman. But then it kind of shifts where it just turns into like, it's like it's sex, but it's like a fight sex. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then it goes from like, they have, I believe there's 3 times they have sex.
Mm-hmm.
The beginning, the middle, and the last time.
Which is atrocious.
Yes, I mean the last time it's actually just like assault at a certain point, and like he is oblivious, you know, to his like what he's doing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that's where his like caveman instinct like kicked in, and like it's just one of those points where he thought like, hey, this is okay. And then she completely viewed it as some other way.
And really, like, the ending of this movie, or, like, from there on, was, like, really what killed it for me. Because I thought it was kind of slow. Like, I felt like it was kind of dragging. Because, again, like, I didn't really think that the conflict that was happening was, like, worthy enough to, like, make this big a deal of the whole time. So for it to just, like, end in, like, essentially, like, him raping her and then, like, blowing up her party in front of like all of her family friends, which like the whole time is just like saying cancel or whatever, and he's just like oblivious to the whole thing and like pretending he didn't get.
What an asshole! Like seriously,
like literally insane. I do like the actor though.
Alden Ehrenreich. Han Solo.
He was never Han Solo. That movie doesn't exist.
Doesn't know, and there's not. It's not canon.
That movie does not exist.
You know what bothered me about this movie is throughout the movie, the girl was trying to make all of this work.
Yeah.
Every aspect of it. The guy's ego got severely bruised. I mean, especially the moment where he's like down on his knees and begging his boss, like, yo, I'm your god. And then
that's so pathetic.
It's like, why would you ever do that?
In front of the new job candidate, too.
Not even that, but in that environment where everything is open glass, why don't you go to a closed room? Like, they intentionally wanted, like, I guess the story is to show, like, hey, man, he's really pathetic. He's, like, on his... Well, you think, like, an egotistical, all about the money guy's gonna care about your pledge? Like,
but, like, in that job environment, too, like, what makes you think they're not gonna fire you on the spot right now when that whole thing about the job is you're supposed to be strong?
Yeah, and the thing, too, is you're dealing with people that are buying and selling, like, military-industrial complexes, drugs that are either gonna make people better or kill people or have side effects or bombs that are gonna... Like, these people don't care. It's numbers. All it is. You produce, you're great.
You have bad numbers, you're begging on your knees, I should fire you right now.
Like, I wish they fired him right there.
That would have been awesome.
Yeah, like, that would have been, like, a more serious, be like, yo, you're fired. Like, Donald Trump status, you know, like
and then,
that.
frankly, if they would have fired him right now, and then he crumbled like he did through the rest, instead of just him making a fool of himself, it would have been better.
Yes, I agree. Or...
there would have been the real rise and fall of the stakes. But it's like, no, like, he just went in there, threw a big tantrum.
Yes.
Now he's going to rape his girlfriend and ruin his life. It's like, okay, I don't care.
No, I mean, that's... You know what the worst part is? He's doing everything to sabotage her.
Yeah.
And then do a horrible, violent act to him. Now, throughout that process, before they get to it, like, he disappears, and, like, he has, like, a crisis. He's not answering his phone. His fiance's covering.
Work for, like, 4 days.
His fiance's in-laws are planning a straight-up, like, engagement party. He never told his parents. If I was going to propose to, like, my girl, trust me, my brother, my parents would know about it, or their parents would know about it, because kind of old-fashioned, but I would just, like, ask their hand in blessing and all this stuff. But, like... this girl is trying to keep this guy's entire life together, you know?
And it game's the same thing. Like, they can't even say about it, because what if so-and-so tells so-and-so, and so-and-so knows so-and-so who works with me? Like, they don't want anybody to know. So, like, what is the point of getting married?
Did you get bitten by a mosquito?
Yeah.
Fuck. Sorry.
It's okay.
It's fucking mosquitoes, man. We can't solve that problem yet. Anyways, I like the ending.
Okay, I think it was nice that she got justice, I guess you can call it. But, like, it was fine.
I think, no, I mean, there was, you know, when she confronts him in the apartment, and he's just like already destroyed.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And as horrible as the rape was, I felt like she's like, no, I'm here for blood. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'm for that. I'm for vengeance. You know what I mean? Like, he fucked up. Like, you know, like, imagine if he went even further when he was like raping her. You know what I mean? And something even worse happened. But when that scene happens, when the girls are like, cry, get down on your knees, like, cry, you know? And like the dude's like, look, you won. Like, I surrendered. I'm literally on my knees. But let's travel back a couple of days ago when like I literally was paralyzed and I couldn't attack you because you were in a position of power.
Yeah.
Like, I'm in the position of power. It's your time to bleed. You know what I mean? I like the fact that she got the knife and like cut the dude. You know 100%. What I mean? It's like, yo, now you bleed.
If they didn't give her a scene of like redemption, I would pretty much throw this whole thing away.
Yeah, I agree too, because I would not want that level of weakness from my protagonist. I think she's the protagonist in the movie. Yeah.
And there's like a quote from the director, like, this is not a film about like female empowerment. It's a film about like male fragility, which I think is like pretty correct over this whole thing. Mm-hmm. And because like you can't really say that like she's a good person, and you can't really say he's a good person. Like, they're both flawed.
They're both people that work in the financial district that are just trying to make money by pushing buttons. They're not out there like saving lives or feeding the homeless or like planting a tree.
And there's a quote about that too in the movie. She says something along the lines of like, I didn't get into this to like help people or something.
Yeah.
Like, we're here to make money and power, and that's like what we're here for.
Wow, he really.
I'm literally bleeding, but that's fine.
That's like sorry. Not me, mosquito. Fuck, man. The mosquitoes are not dying. You know, it's like 90 degrees in October still in LA. Anyhow, but that scene where she's all like, my favorite part is like, okay, now get out of my apartment.
Yeah.
I love that line. I love how that ended. That was like the best ending for me because of like, what more can I say? It's like, oh, I forgive you, babe. Now let's go to counseling and make it work. No, bitch, get out of my
But again, I think I would have liked it more if before he didn't say like, oh, I made other living arrangements. Like, I'm going to get out of your hair. Like, I wish it was just like, we don't know where this apartment's going to go. Now get the fuck out of my apartment.
Yeah, it's sort of like the guy had to make sure he's okay. Let's make sure the guy, you know, he's all right. You know, Ken's okay. You know, you know, he's Ken enough. You know, like he can go handle. He's not just financial Ken. You know.
Yeah.
But I really like.
My Ken's job is money.
I really like. I mean, I just like the ending because I thought it was a real ending, but it always begs the question to me where I think to myself, is like, is this dude gonna be scared for the rest of his life that this girl is gonna say like, oh, she raped me? You know, like, and like,
good.
I know he deserves to go to jail.
I liked that she lied and said like, we never had a relationship. He's been stalking me. He fabricated a whole world that we lived together and stuff. Yeah. Because he's never gonna work in finance ever again.
Yeah, and I like the fact that she kind of like was willing to drop him immediately.
Yeah.
Be like, you know what? After what you, I forget, was it before or after?
It was after.
After, yeah. Like, I mean, if someone like, fuck you, I'm burning your entire house down, the scorched earth, motherfucker.
No, she tried so hard to like support him and take him with her, and then when he fucking blew it all up for himself, she said, "I'm not gonna fucking help you anymore. Like, you're gonna drown."
You know, one of my what things were funny to me in the movie? There was always those sequences like when she came home drunk and she couldn't open the door.
Yeah. It
reminded me of like olden movies where like the guy would come home drunk and couldn't open the door and the wife had to open the door for her and stuff like that. I also like the sequence where the guy like I think I don't know if it showed it or not, where she, like the notes for his book disappeared.
Yeah.
And it's like, where are my notes? Like, for my book.
It's not trash.
It's not trash. It's my book. And I thought to myself, loser, digitize that. Type it. You know what I mean? Like, I have important thoughts and I put it on my iPhone, or like I back it up through the cloud or something like that. Why would you put something so important out there where you guys are both drunks, you guys both drink, you guys have like poor habits, and you could have easily been thrown away?
Yeah. He also could have just misplaced it. I liked all the little like gender reversal, like little nuanced things throughout this. That's why at the end of the day, like for me, it's a watch. I wouldn't like, I'm not going to say this is like the worst thing I've ever seen, because I did like semi enjoy it. It's just like, I don't know, from the trailer, I just thought like it was going to be a little bit something different, or just like in general, just a little bit more exciting. Like I just think it was kind of flat.
You know what the thing to me, like when I was watching the movie, the color, it was kind of like
boring.
it kind of like spice it up, make it a little sexy, add some flair. Like when you watch Billions, it's very sexy. You know, like the things they do and stuff like that. This seems like, oh, we're just gonna be very robotic and go to that stuff. And it seems like the only time where it got fiery is like when they're having sex.
Yeah.
That's when the passion was turned on, and like it's just like ego conversations and stuff like that, or the strip club. You know.
Yep.
Like, this is where the fun's gonna happen. Like, we're in a strip club. This is the fun scene. But kudos, because I think this is her first movie.
Yeah.
And I just feel like if this was her first
For her first feature, this is awesome.
Yeah, I just feel like the sky's the limit. And it's hard. You know what's not fair? It's not fair to compare people that are like, imagine this is their first movie, and there are people that you watch some of their catalog. It's like, wow, straight trash. You know what I mean? And like this person's like, we're constantly comparing people to like other works of art or other directors, and then like, wow, this is this person's first movie. You know what I mean? Like if we were to compare, I don't know, Spielberg's first movie and Quentin Tarantino's first movie and stuff like that, I know it's like the progress. It's sort of like, you know, the professional athletes now with the worst professional athlete on a bench would rock probably the best professional athlete like 50 years ago, you know?
Oh, of course.
But it's just interesting that we have that level of scrutiny because we're so used to expecting such like the quality, you know? But then again, you watch movies that are like top-notch directors or actors, and like you watch, like, have you seen the Indiana Jones movie?
The new one?
Yeah.
No.
So if you watch the new Indiana Jones movie, which had like CGI, had the original cast, had like everything going for it, and it fell flat, you know? And then all of a sudden you have the movie The Creator, which didn't have star-studded cast, didn't have half the budget, and it kind of like landed in the same place too. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that doesn't necessarily mean like you have all the cast, the directors, and the money is going to do great. It can always fall flat. But I think this was a bright spot. I feel like this movie is going to continue to get more and more attention.
Yeah, it was on, like, when I watched it, it was on, like, number 7 on Netflix, and I think Netflix is the perfect home for it.
Yeah.
I think out of any of the streaming services, it'll probably get the most views here. I don't think it would have done well theatrically. I think it's a little too small.
I think they sold the movie for $20 million.
Good for them.
You know how much more that's going to have for their catalog and stuff like that? I hope they continue to make movies like this, where it kind of really dissects the new environment. You know what I mean?
Like a post-Me Too era film.
And I would love to see how other countries are like that in this environment.
Yeah.
Like, show me something in China, Japan. Show me something like in India.
Just in general, like low budget, like dramas. Like I feel like there used to be a lot of them, and there aren't anymore. And it's like such a big missing gap because like there's such a good room there to make something of quality on like a low scale. And I just feel like with all the new like directors and stuff coming up, if people were just more willing to like give money for projects like this, like we would get a lot more quality stuff.
I think that's what they're gonna shift because they've literally seen the failures of all the like big like AAA brand names.
And I'm all for like movies like this coming back.
Yeah. And I feel like the early 90s and the 2000s all had these movies.
Yeah.
Constantly like original movies were coming out, and I think, you know, the sci-fi, and like I think there was a point where like all the sci-fi movies were coming out in like the 70s and 80s and stuff like that, and then like people were like, yo, we want like real life people, you know, dramas, and I feel like that's gonna come back.
Yeah, same thing's happening. The superhero movie's basically dead right now. It's in like the worst era it's been since it pretty much started.
No one cares. And there's rumors and talks of, you know, on the Marvel universe.
Oh yeah, did you see that? The reboot?
What reboot?
They're gonna, after the
Secret War,
they're gonna do like a soft launch, like different timeline reboot, and pretty much like recast some of the characters that have like aged out now, which is like,
why?
I'm done. Like, who are you gonna replace? They said they're gonna replace like Chadwick Boseman as like Black Panther. It's like, I don't really care to see a new Black Panther. Like, if you're gonna like recast like Robert Downey Jr., like what are we even doing here? Like,
the Marvel is a giant encyclopedia of like characters.
Yeah.
So is DC. You don't have to do Batman. You don't have to do Spider-Man. You can just choose something else. I don't know. I think
they're never gonna stop doing Batman and Spider-Man though. Those are the two biggest money makers.
Yeah, I figured.
Which is fine. I love Spider-Man. As long as they keep doing quality Spider-Man.
Mm-hmm.
Spider-Man is like the only thing they haven't fucked up for me yet. Like for some reason they keep landing the plane on Spider-Man, not on anything else. But like I'm satisfied with every version of Spider-Man I've gotten so far.
I hope Andrew Garfield gets like a redemption.
I like the Andrew Garfield one.
I think he's the best Spider-Man and human. The man and the spider. You know what I mean?
I think this is so off topic, but I think Tobey Maguire is the best Peter Parker. Mm-hmm. I think Andrew Garfield is the best Spider-Man. Mm-hmm. And I think Tom Holland is the best version of what Spider-Man is supposed to be. Mm.
But I also believe that Tom Holland, not to take away anything, but he has the benefit of being in the Marvel Cinematic Universe,
which gives him the worst movies, I think, because like he doesn't get to be the whole thing about Spider-Man is like he's your friendly neighborhood local Spider-Man, but he's doing like all the Avengers shit, which is fine. Like no disrespect to the Avengers shit, but it's not really like a true Spider-Man, because even in like the first one, like he's just kind of like Tony Stark's bitch. Like he's not really like his own independent, like I'm doing this for the good of the people. He's doing this like to be an Avenger, which is not to discredit his Spider-Man at all, but I think if they do a fourth one, which they're probably going to do, since they've like reversed all the thing, I think he's gonna get a true like New York Spider-Man movie.
I hope so too, because what people don't realize is Spider-Man No Way Home is an origin story.
Yeah.
I don't know if some people know that or not, but like it's really like an origin story. Like he starts from scratch.
Yeah.
Anyways, fair play. Watch.
Yeah, I'd say watch it. It's got some good stuff. It's not my favorite, but it's got some good stuff.
Good night, beautiful people.